All right, so I'm calling this tutorial Dodge, Burn, etc. just to kind of go through some, simple basic photo editing techniques that can make your photos look, that much better. Here's a photo I took in an abandoned factory space. I took it in a square format for Instagram. Some things to think about. Here's the crop tool here. If I just pretend to start cropping it, you can see the crop tool gives me the rule of thirds. So when I composed this, I wanted the door in the middle third, the sky in one of the thirds. So I did compose it thinking of the rule of thirds in mind, right? Really, I was just going into the crop tool here just to kind of use it as a tool to see how my rule of thirds are at play here. Okay, so just gonna go over some basic photo editing techniques here. Let's make a few copies of the background layer here, Control or Command J. Or you can drag it down here. I like using the adjustment layers because it gives me more flexibility and it's non-destructive editing. So check out curves for a little while here just to see. Just to focus on the clouds, darkening the clouds here a little bit. All right, I like the drama that I got going on in the clouds. So I'm gonna turn that eyeball off and on. The clouds are much more dramatic. There's much more pop there. This has now darkened up. Here's the mask layer here. So to deal with this, I don't want this stuff being done. Foreground on black. Go to my brush tool. Increase the opacity. Increase the brush size. Bracket key. And then remove that darkness from there. Okay, I'm just going to work away here, make some of my mask adjustments. If you don't like working with masks, you could go right directly on the layer. You go to Image Adjustments, Levels, or Curves. So let's go to Curves here. Repeat what we did here quickly. All right. I'm liking the clouds here. Rest of the image is too dark, but I have the image below here. So now I just use the erase tool and erase through what I don't want. So bam, there you go. So if you don't like, if masks are too much to think about with the brush and the foreground and background and all that, you can just make an adjustment directly on the layer and erase through the layers. But this is a destructive way of doing it. It's destructive editing, but it's fine if that's what you prefer to do. But the more professional way is to use masks and do it in a non-destructive way. So you basically achieve similar results, but by using the adjustment layers on the mask, it's non-destructive editing, FYI. Okay, so now I'm gonna go down here. I'm just gonna get rid of these, but if that's the way you like working, you can use the erase tool and throw things on layers. But I'm going to continue with adjustment layers and masking. So curves, first off, let's go down here. Let's throw on some hue saturation. One of my favorite ones is to use selective color. In selective color, I typically go with the blacks and punch the blacks up a little bit. And you can see that that just gives it a little bit of punch power there. I can go the neutrals, and then I can start playing around with kind of like color tinting it if I want to a little bit to create some sort of unique mood or whatever. Curves, hue saturation, selective color, and another favorite of mine, photo filter. You can throw this stuff on to warm it up, cool it down quickly. Go to a warming filter here, maybe lower that a little tad. And I'm happy with these, so rather than getting too many adjustments all at once, I'm going to select all these, shift select all these, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to merge these layers together. So there we go, I'm going to go merge layers, bam, they're all together now. I'm going to make a copy of that, drag it down here, or Control or Command J. Stuff. So some handy tools over here in the tool are these Dodge and Burn tools. Dodge, again, lightens the area, Burn darkens areas. So I'm going to go to the Dodge tool. I'm going to select midtones up here. I think an exposure between 20 and 30 is good. Anything higher I find kind of distorts the image a little bit too much. And then I'm going to make a brush It's a little bit bigger, and I'm going to want to dodge around the door to lighten the door up a little bit. So if I just start clicking, here's some ways to lighten that stuff up quite quickly. But be careful you don't go too far with it or too much. By using dodge and burn, you can actually draw your eye into the image and create more of a focal point in a subtle way. So I'm going to actually title this dodge layer. I may want to, if I'm using the dodge tool and I want to lighten the door, I may want to go and try some shadows. I'm very cautious about going into the shadow area because sometimes it really does distort things. See if I can lighten that up a little bit. There, it's touching that up nicely. But just be careful, just go slow. And then back to midtones. So I'm just going to work away here, doing some subtle dodging to the image. And now what I might want to do is I might want to kind of burn the side here a little bit. So darken this area. So burning does the opposite. So I'm going to go to the burn tool. Maybe lower the exposure slightly. And try just adding a little burn on the side here. Just to darken ever so slightly this area here, just to pop it back. And by dodging and burning, you know, as I said, you create a focal point or an area of interest for your eye to fall on, but you can also create a little more depth into your image slightly. Here's the original image, it's pretty flat. So I did all those adjustments, punched things up. And now here's my dodge and burn layer. I'll retitle that dodge/burn layer. And you can see here before your eye, think about where your eye is going, kind of all over the image. Not, you know, you're sort of falling on the door, but the minute you lighten the door up and you slightly darken that side, your eye definitely goes there much more, right? And that gives you an idea about how you can use dodge and burn as a focal point tool.